Hello, everyone. Welcome to this talk. We're going to work a little bit on improvisation topics. And so today's topic is going to be pentatonic scales. So we're using these as a collection of notes that we can play over some changes. And so I'm going to continue working with Fly Me to the Moon here. And but I'm going to mix in a few other tunes, just kind of keep it interesting here. All right, so we'll begin with Fly Me to the Moon and see if you can kind of listen for some of these pentatonic scales and things as we go through. All right, and let me know if you have any questions. This will be a video for YouTube members, and also a podcast for the general audience following. All right, so let's begin here. All right, so a couple of just things to think about that I was trying to work out there just to illustrate some certain points is that we can play pentatonics in order to outline chord changes. And then we can also use pentatonics to step out of those chord changes. And so in some cases, I played a little bit there outside, create a little bit of kind of brightness on the sound by stepping out a little bit into that. So so let's take a look at some of those ideas. So say, if we're playing A minor, right? The A minor pentatonic might be a good choice, right, for outlining the chords. Now, it's a little deceptive too. So someone may be thinking about using the pentatonic scale as kind of a source of tones to work from. But they might not use all 5, let's say. So it's not necessary to use all 5 notes. So you might even only use 4, or maybe use all 5, but in combinations of 4. So that's something to think about too. So you might play on A minor. You might play something like, which on the surface kind of sounds like C major, kind of melodic structure, like we've talked about a little bit. But it all depends on what your perspective, what you're kind of pulling from. So if I play, okay, then that becomes more of an A minor kind of pentatonic, that kind of pulling from there. Okay, or you could play kind of back up. So I'll do that a little slower. So again, we're using a pentatonic scale, but we're thinking in groups of 4 there. So in a sense, it's kind of similar to what we've talked about a little bit with the melodic structures, but in this case, we're going to be thinking about 5 notes at a time. But what I mean by this is that we can take a major pentatonic. You can play that over a major 7, or you might play that over dominant 7. Now we do have another pentatonic scale that fits really well on the dominant 7. So play, rather than the 6, we play the flat 7. So, right. So if you're getting into that one part of the tune where you have C major, there's not a lot of time to play each one of those, but you might create a line maybe similar to that, or something like that. All right, and then similar to that, we have the E7. We have an A7 at some point, so you might try to experiment with a dominant pentatonic that has a flat 9. Now, when you go to play, you're probably not going to want to play like a full octave. You might play 4-note grouping, and they don't even have to be in order or anything like that. So we can switch them around and kind of see where they pull us. Right. So outlining the changes, we can simply take the minor 7 or the minor pentatonic on the minor 7. We can take the major pentatonic on any major chord. And then, like we talked about, maybe get a little deeper with the dominant pentatonic. And then we have this, some predominant chords at times, including this this one. Now we can adapt the pentatonic a little bit. So we can a B minor pentatonic, but lower the fifth. And that will fit on the B minor 7 flat 5. So then you have some things, let's say four different kind of shapes that you can feel kind of equipped to work on some of the changes, at least for this tune and a lot of tunes really. So let's do a little more playing, and again, I'm going to try to vary the kind of time feels and stuff, keep things a little interesting here. So set up kind of more of a Latin groove on this next one, and play a few clicks quicker here, and so we'll play with kind of the same concept, but I'm gonna try to make it fairly obvious as I improvise over it, the pentatonics that I'm using, and then I might just branch out from there. Okay, so what we find here with the pentatonics is that you sort of start to feel like there's a certain sound that is fairly open, and kind of fits the chords, fits the progression. So so after playing it a little bit, you might want to pull away from that and play something that's includes maybe a little more stepwise motion. So that's what I did there in some spots. And then you might try to branch out and maybe try to play almost like a pair of pentatonics, so, let's say on the D minor there, for example. So we say, okay, D minor. Might say, okay, what if we play kind of E minor pentatonic there for a moment, and then switch over. So it's almost hard to tell as you're from the listener what source the improviser might really be thinking about, because that whole line there might say, oh, maybe that's A minor pentatonic over that whole part rather than two pairs of pentatonic scales. So so that's sort of the fun of working at some of these things and making them come together. And then you can also think in terms of how the tone chord scale, I guess you could say, of a certain sound might be working out. So you have D minor, so you might say, okay, what if I want a 6 in there and a 9, but kind of keeping the other notes and maybe an 11. Okay, so keep the root. So that's kind of a G major pentatonic, right? So so it's fun to experiment with just maybe stepping a little bit away out of what the chord has, right? So you're always going to have one tone that's outside of the 4 notes, right? Because it's a pentatonic scale. So if you have a chord again like D minor 7, then you're going to have root, flat 3, 5, flat 7. Now this 11 gives you the D minor pentatonic, right? So you could have at least one chord tone that's outside of that. And then, but like we said earlier, you might try to get further away from that original sound. You'll create a little more contrast with the tune, and that way. All right, so next up I'm gonna play a tune that I've been really enjoying playing for really pretty long time. This is it's gonna be 500 Miles High. I think what I'm gonna do here is the form's a little different here. I think I'm gonna just kind of loop that part. I might start with some keyboard instruments here, and electric keyboard is what I've been gravitating towards recently. And I was spending a little time ahead of time here trying to set up a drum loop, because that form is just not your typical number. So here we go. Play a little bit. Try to remember to mute the microphone here. Again, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining in. And I'll talk a little bit more about pentatonics. And I'm gonna play kind of a good bit of pentatonics on this, but not exclusively. So because it does get a little bit old when you do that exclusively. So work in some other things as well. So okay, we'll play through this a little bit. Let me turn my guitar. So I've been turning down the guitar a little bit for the talking part. Turn up the guitar here. Okay, so they're taking a little bit of those pentatonics and kind of 4 note groups of pentatonics and just kind of seeing what's available, hearing what's available, and think about different ways to contrast the tune or the chord, and then experimenting a little bit there as well at times. With maybe playing ahead or behind on some of those things, but in general, working on that, and then working on some chromatic type passages too, just kind of mixing things up and moving around. But I find that fun. That tune is really very enjoyable to improvise with all that. All right, so the kind of big takeaway is to think about using the pentatonic scales to outline chord changes or to contrast whatever the current chord is, and then find commonalities between chords as well. So that's another thing to check out, is to try a pentatonic that might fit several chords, right? So and you could also adapt it just slightly, so just maybe keep a lot of the same tones going there as well. All right, well, I'm gonna probably end it here in a minute, but I think I'll play. Just plan to play one more tune here. This is another one that's really fun to do. I think that could it's a little bit of shorter form, so it could provide a good way to work out some of these pentatonic type scales and things. So let's see if we can get a nice groove going on this. Work it out. So if you're checking this out on the podcast, consider checking out the member area here on YouTube. Get more visual content on things. And if you are already a member, thanks for supporting the channel. And let me know if you have any particular questions. So that's another benefit of being a member is to have that ability to ask questions and things. So I'll try this. So we have a 12-bar form here. So this should kind of work out okay. Let's see if we can adapt it a little bit for this purpose. Paste it in. So again, thanks for checking this out. I also have some links, at least on the podcast, for recommended gear, and I put several different levels of so budget wise what I would kind of recommend folks doing. So different levels depending on how much you plan to budget out for that. All right, so should be kind of queued up here, and so this tune is Solar, and which I've never quite sure whether to pronounce it Solar or Solar. Take it a little up tempo here. All right, everybody. So this is sort of the nature of working with computers and prearranged. Well, not really. Yeah, I guess it is range tracks, but yeah. Anyhow, some of these endings are a little less than graceful, and I was hoping to kind of keep going on, but just kind of where I put that loop, that was just a little 2 measures out there. But yeah. Now I had the MIDI neck going there too, so not sure how much showed up there, but anyway, That'll do it here for today. Thanks so much for listening, and I hope you have a great day and a great practice session. Let me know if you have any questions.